Once you have your meal plan created for the week, you don't have to think about it again. And you might say, I have to do this every single week. Don't worry. You don't have to do it every week. Again, we can be flexible. You have to be flexible and you have to work with the season in life that you are. And so basically, the stress is taken out because you have that meal plan figured out. You just have to carry through with the plans.
Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool Podcast, where you'll learn tips and strategies that will empower you to home educate your children. I'm Leigh Nguyen, a homeschool mom of over 12 years, which includes 2 graduates. When I started homeschooling, I was pretty much on my own and was desperate for encouragement and help. My mission is to be a source of encouragement and help to you. Whether you are just beginning your homeschool journey or you're deep into the homeschool lifestyle, Little by Little Homeschool wants to help you stay the course because all the time you are investing into your children is completely worth it. If you're ready to take your homeschool to new levels, keep listening.
Mom, what's for dinner? How often do you hear that a week? Or maybe how often do you hear that every day with multiple children or even the same child? It is a decision that needs to be made every single day if you are not meal planning. How many times do you find yourself scrambling together to pull a meal? Probably too many times, right? Couldn't your time be spent better? Couldn't you use a little less stress and a little less daily decisions in your life as a homeschool mom? You can avoid all of these decisions within the day when it comes to meals, but there's no reason to repeat the same decision every single day. There is a way to avoid it. Today, I am sharing with you this podcast episode to talk to you all about how meal planning will help you as a homeschool mom save your sanity. And along with this is a brand new resource that I am offering, which is the Homeschool Mom's Guide to Meal Planning. You can get more information. You can jump over there now or wait for the end of this episode at littlebylittlehomeschool.com/meal, spelled MEAL. That will give you all the information, and the link will be in the show notes as well. This Homeschool Mom's Guide, Meal Planning Guide, is going to take you step by step through the process of creating a meal for every single breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. I know that sounds overwhelming. It is not. Once you go through the process and you see how it works, you're like, oh, this is so easy. Rinse and repeat. With just a little bit of forethought, you won't have to worry about answering that question that I said to you earlier of, what's for dinner, Mom? And I most definitely was that mom who was stressed about getting all of the meals on the table as my children grew. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm the one that's responsible for this. And at first, it felt like a burden. And at times it can be. But what you need to do is shift your way of thinking. And that's what I had to do as well. Instead of thinking of it as a burden, instead of thinking as one more thing I have to do, it is actually a central thing that we need to do. And therefore, then we get to do. Just like we get to homeschool our children. It isn't a burden. Yes, it can feel like a heavy load at times. The meal planning and the meal prep and the getting the meals onto the table and all that comes along with that can feel like a burden, but we get to do that. What a blessing that we have these resources. What a blessing that we can enjoy good food together. And I was overwhelmed by this, and it took me years. I've tried various different systems, but what I'm going to share a little bit with you today and the step-by-step that is in that meal planning guide is what I have stuck with and what has worked for the longest and what has worked in different seasons of life. Because it's not super rigid. Yes, there is a plan, but guess what? There always has to be flexibility. You know, when it comes to being a homeschool mom, you might have your week planned out and it's going well. And on the wee hours on a Wednesday, you have a child wake up with a sore throat. And there goes that day. And there goes possibly your plans for the next couple of days. And so you have to be flexible and adjust. Is it the whole family that needs to adjust? Is it just part that has to adjust? Is it just that child's homeschool? What does that all look like? And the same thing can go with meal planning. You can have a great plan for the week and things go awry. Same thing, child with a sore throat or the entire family isn't feeling well. Well, maybe you don't necessarily want that super hearty meal that night. You just want something a little bit lighter. And we can adjust. And we have to be able to do that as homeschool moms. There's just a lot that we have planned, and learning flexibility is really key. But then also, like I was saying, changing your frame of mind. Not that this is a drudgery. This is something that we have to do. This is a time in your life. Yes, there are many mouths to feed, and those mouths will grow. And this is some that I'm going to kind of walk you through a little bit, and then in depth that we're going to go into in the meal planning guide has taken me with my kids when they were younger, and it's taken me as they're a little bit older. And now I am feeding, myself included, 5 adults in my home. And it looks slightly different, but not really. It just really, the biggest difference is that it's a lot more food. Instead of just a maybe couple of chicken breasts, there's a lot more. And maybe instead of just a couple of steaks and the kids all share 1 or 2 steaks, they all get at least 1, if not 2. Can you tell I've got some growing boys and people wanting to put on some muscle around here? So what are some of the benefits of meal planning? Number 1 is less stress in your life. Once you have your meal plan created for the week, you don't have to think about it again. And you might say, I have to do this every single week. Don't worry. You don't have to do it every week. Again, we can be flexible. You have to be flexible, and you have to work with the season in life that you are. And so basically, the stress is taken out because you have that meal plan figured out. You just have to carry through with the plans. Another benefit of meal planning is better nutrition. Instead of on the way home from soccer practice or a baseball game, hitting the drive-through for a snack or a quick sandwich, and then you have to go home and make dinner. No, you can think about it beforehand and think, okay, we're going to need snacks after these activities or in between these things, and let's make sure we purchase the items that we want for the snacks so that then we can bring them with us, or we can come home and have that snack while I prep some dinner. Or maybe it's simply going home because you took the time to think ahead of time and you have a meal in the crock pot. Or you have a very simple 30-minute meal that is ready to go. You get home and you can jump right into the kitchen and get it done and on the table in 30 minutes. And in that time, kids have taken baths and showers and none the wiser that they had to wait a little bit longer. A third benefit of meal planning is that you can save money. Nothing good comes from food shopping without a plan. You will get to just buy the things that you need and not waste your money on impulse purchases or saying, oh, maybe I need this, maybe I need that. No, because your meal plan is going to then dictate your grocery shopping list. And when you go to the store or the farms or the farmer's market or wherever you go, the big Costco's, whatever it is, you just get what is on your list and you walk out the door. And so therefore, you're not spending money on things that your family doesn't necessarily need. You're also going to avoid some food waste. So sometimes it goes along with that, purchasing extra things, especially I have run into this. If I don't have written down the exact amount maybe of produce that I need, I might say, oh, I think I need more carrots. And I go and buy more carrots. And guess what? I have a 5-pound bag in there I forgot that I had purchased the week before. And to get to the end of all that 10 pounds, it might mean that those carrots at the end start to go bad. And that isn't being very good with God's resources that He has given us. So therefore, purchasing just what we do need and maybe planning ahead if you have some weeks that maybe you're not able to go to the grocery store, that's fine. But we get to avoid a lot of food waste and a lot of things that will possibly go bad. The last big benefit of meal planning I want to share with you is that you get to save time. Skip having to decide every single meal what you're going to make for your family. You already have it written down. You will save hours, and you will also save your sanity when it comes to having that planned out. It just takes a little time each week. You create that plan for the foods that your family loves and maybe some foods that you want to introduce your family to, and then you just have to carry through with it. Meal planning can sometimes get a bad rap, and this is, again, where the flexibility has to come into play. If there are times that you are like, well, I can't do this meal that I planned, this has come up, and you just be flexible. Switch it with another meal. This isn't written in stone, but this is a really good guide. And meal planning allows you then to make sure you have the items in the refrigerator that you need, such as maybe taking the chicken out of the freezer and letting it thaw out in time for when you need it, say taking it out on a Sunday and knowing that you need it on a Wednesday so it is perfectly thawed and ready. You're going to avoid that stress. You're going to overall save some time. And whenever you start something new, it can feel overwhelming and daunting, and you can get a little frustrated, like, I don't know if this is going to work. You have to give things time. So why should meal planning matter to you as a homeschool mom? Your ministry is at home, is within the walls of your home. You can have a ministry outside of your home and be ministering to others, yes, and that is highly encouraged as well. And in some seasons, That ministry outside of home might be a lot less, and especially when you have younger children, your ministry within your home, and it starts to grow as your kids get to be a little bit older and you can branch out to outside of your home. But health is part of that ministry with your family. And eating a diet that's going to give you energy and give you good health, it's going to help keep your mind and your body, you personally, your mind and your body in a good state so you can pour into your family for many years to come. It could also allow your family to grow as they need to. And that health part isn't just a physical health part as well. It is a mental and emotional health part too. When we eat well, we can be better stabilized with our hormones. And we don't have that stress of constantly every single day trying to figure out what's for breakfast, what's for lunch, what kind of snacks do we have, and what's for dinner. Running to the grocery store multiple times a week. That adds a layer of stress. And to you, physiologically, as well as just to your family. Having to pack everybody up to run to the grocery store for a couple of items. Let's not do that anymore. Let's meal plan, get what you need once a week, be done with it. Your meal time can be a ministry to your family. So whether it's just your family or you've opened up your home to guests, mealtime is a way that you can connect and you can build relationships. This is a great time instead of scrambling and throwing out, oh, here's a meal for this person and this for this person, this for this person. Everybody sits down at the same time. You can light a candle if you want, play some nice music in the background, and enjoy the time. Now, when my kids were little, there wasn't always a lot of conversation going on that wasn't, we'll say, sometimes it was like inappropriate. Like, there's no potty talk here, boys, at the table. How can we start some types of conversations? Because a lot of their world was just very small. And we were all a part of their world. So they didn't have as much to share. And that's where like things of different prompts. I remember just finding like different card sets were just like questions you could ask. It could be like an either or, would you rather do this or that? Or what do you think about this? And just moving beyond the, how was your day? Because if you've homeschooled and you've been home all day, you kind of know how everybody's day is. I mean, then there's also the typical like, what's something that you learned today? Those didn't always go over well. As your kids get older, you'll find that as they get out into the world, they have stories, they have things to tell, and they have a lot more context to the world, and a lot more conversations can happen. But this begins when they are younger, and you can use mealtime as a ministry to your family. Mealtime also, and meal planning, creates order within your home. God creates order. He is a God of order, and you can copy his pattern by creating a natural order and rhythm to the food and the meals that your family enjoys. And this is accomplished through meal planning. Then also stewardship. The ability to provide nourishment to your children is a blessing. And by creating order to how this happens, having breakfasts figured out, having the ingredients, having everything you need for that, and lunch and snacks and dinner, and maybe even dessert. Hey, I'm not knocking dessert. I love a good dessert. But by creating order to how this happens, it helps you to steward your resources, so your money, as well as your food and your time better. Instead of scrambling, trying to look through cookbooks real quick or scrolling through Pinterest or trying to rack your brain about some type of meal at 4:00 p.m., what if you already knew what you're going to make and you already have all the ingredients? All you need to do is simply do it. And that also allows time for you to teach your children how to cook. Now, let's just get the meal planning done first, and then we'll add that on a little bit later. Then you can teach them how to cook, and guess what happens then? They can prepare meals as well. And so therefore, we are sharing and lightening the load. But meal planning has been a game changer for me. And I've spoken to so many moms, and there's just such a stress about this that I wanted to share my system with you so that you can then have the system. It's a step-by-step guide, and you can begin it today, and you can go through it. So there is a guide, there is a workbook, and there is also a private podcast episode just for you to be able to walk through this and to figure out your meal plan. And I am here for you if you have questions when it comes to it as well. So you can get all the information about the meal plan at littlebylittlehomeschool.com/meal, MEAL. The link is also in the show notes. But friend, just know that it is worth taking the time because that time is precious. It's precious right now with your homeschool. The time that you take to meal plan and to think about it and to have something set in place means that you will have less stress for you, and less stress is good for your mind and it's good for your body. It's also good for your family. and you guys will actually have the meals and the food and everything that's going to help you to be able to serve your family well, and your family to be able to serve each other well, and then you to be able to serve your community as well. So go ahead and check out the meal plan guide. It is available to you right now, today. I look forward to seeing all of the amazing meals that you are going to create in your meal plan. So be sure to keep in touch. Let me know how things are going, but go over to littlebylittlehomeschool.com/meal. Can't wait for you to get some meals on the table.
Thank you for listening, friend. I'd love to connect with you more. You can find social media links in the show notes and share this episode with a friend who could use a boost to her homeschool. See you back here real soon.